King of Podcasts Radio Network proudly presents the Broadcasters Podcast. Here is the King of Podcasts.
About to start off a Memorial Day weekend, and this is the Broadcasters Podcast. Thanks for listening in, funding the show as you always do. KingofPodcasts.com. And of course, if you haven't done so, I now have a supporters club, which it would really help that you choose to go ahead and listen to the additional content I do on a regular basis, several times a month. I will add additional episodes of the program, not anything that's outside of the normal weekly format. Okay, I did put out an episode last Saturday, which was another opportunity to go and speak with Lou Pate. He was working at WPHT in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania last week, so I put out an extra episode, which we talked more about the streaming issues and Diddy and all that good stuff. So I put that out there for all of you to listen to, and I hope you enjoyed it. And then I also did another episode where I talked about Diddy in another longer form, talking about the issues that he has right now, because he was, after the apology video, I went ahead and talked about that right away. So all that right there, and I have other episodes I've done. So if you want to go and check out those for yourself, then please go ahead and check those out now at kingofpodcasts.com. Look for the supporters club section. And from there, you can go right in there and you can go ahead and join the supporters club and make your way into learning more about what we're doing, what I'm doing right here to, give you a reason to maybe help out with the show and help out with the cost of the show. A $2 a month donation, even if you don't listen to the extra programming, that's okay. If you want to go ahead and just donate $2 a month, you can do it right there. kingofpodcasts.com. The links are all there for you. All right. So the summer movie box office season. Now, I've gone through my share of movies this year, and I've watched a lot of them. And, the movie season has not been full of a lot of movies to watch. Like, it's been a little bit of a struggle to go and catch movies this year that I wanted to go and watch on a regular basis. It's been difficult, I must say. But there have not been a lot of movies that are like, I knew they were going to make a whole lot of money. And I've already seen that so far, and it's amazing. But I've seen, 25 movies. I got 2 more this week I'm going to watch. I'm going to end up watching, first off, Furiosa, Mad Max Saga. We'll watch that on Friday night. And the Garfield movie on Saturday night. I just don't want to stay home on Saturday, so I'm going to go out and watch that. That's the plan. Now, as for the movies I've already seen so far this year, I've gotten to a pretty good amount of movies this year. And overall, let's just put it like that. Going back to March, which is as far as back as I can go, I watched Demon Slayer, Cabrini, Yoda, which is a Hindi movie. Oh, no, I didn't watch that. I was going to go and I canceled. Knox Goes Away. Ghostbusters is one of the few movies that was like a real big blockbuster this year. Love Lies Bleeding. Actually, I was going to go and I had to cancel. There were some things that happened where I just didn't get to go. Oh, that was because of, what was it? There was something that was going on that I had to go ahead and I had to be away. So now, there was Godzilla and Kong, which I guess, we'll look at the numbers and see how they did. And The Land of Saints and Sinners. Monkey Man was pretty good this year. I saw Civil War and RPX. Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, Boy Kills World. I saw Challengers. I saw Fall Guy. I saw King of the Planet of the Apes. And last week I saw Back to Black. And when I look at the movies that they're already kind of promoting ahead of time for summer movie season, so Bad Boys Ride or Die is next week. Actually in 2 weeks, and I already booked my tickets for that. Actually, no, it's for this week. That's right. So Bad Boys Ride or Die, I'll watch next weekend. And then Deadpool and Wolverine, I already booked myself tickets for July 26th. And that Deadpool and Wolverine movie is one of the few movies that looks like it might have a chance to break $100 million in the box office in its first weekend. And that's normally not the case. If you go back in previous years that have gone on, and last year, right, of the movies we had over the summer, remember, last year we were blown up with movies that did so well. We had Barbie, we had Oppenheimer, we had Fast X. We had a lot of movies that broke really well. Again, $2 billion movies with Barbie and Super Mario Brothers. And then just outside of that was Oppenheimer. Just shy of $1 billion. And then if I look and see what everybody else did and how they did in terms of their weekends and how well they did, well, they all struggled. Like there was, not a lot of movies did really that well. But you're talking about the fact that, a box office worldwide last year that really did pull out some good numbers overall. And now that the fact we're here and I'm looking at 2022, you remember you had Top Gun, right? And Jurassic World leading the way. And Doctor Strange was also in the summer that year. And then Thor: Love and Thunder was also in the summer that year. Like, it was quite a few movies that you had that really did well right off the bat. And you had movies to watch. So right now, we know that the movie theaters were going to struggle this year because of the fact that the strike from the Writers Guild and Screen Actors SAG-AFTRA, those strikes were going to affect the summer movie season. So the movies being shuffled around, that was what was going to happen. And now we're here. And it sucks because now it's like there is a stretch of what movies there are to watch this year. It's going to struggle. Right now, for 2024, the domestic market, they have a total box office gross of $2.4 billion. So it's making some money, but really not as much as it was. Top grossing movie so far this year, domestic, is Dune Part 2. And by the way, the biggest weekends, let's put this out there as well. Biggest weekends so far this year, Dune Part 2 had $82 million this first weekend. Godzilla vs. Kong, $80 million. Planet of the Apes, $58 million. Kung Fu Panda 4, $57 million. And that's rough. Then you got Ghostbusters. If came out this week, the $33 million. And Bob Marley One Love at $28 million. Everybody struggled this year. It's been very, very, very tough on everybody right now and what's going on so far. And not a lot of movies have made a whole lot of money this year either, which doesn't help much as well. And just looking back at last year's summary of the movie season, let's look at that. So the weekend breakdown over the summer last year of movies that came out and the kind of money they were making, which is the big deal, was this. So last year this time, Little Mermaid came out. And this is also, remember that Guardians of the Galaxy had come out, a couple of weeks before. And it ran 2 weekends straight, number one, on May 5th and May 12th of last year. And then Fast X had it for 1 week. Now, in those movies right there, you had a lot of movies that were just back to back to back, just like they were just on top of each other. So right there going into April, I remember that's when the movie theater that I had in downtown West Palm Beach got torn down. And then, now my Regal's going to have the extra overflow of movies for people to go see. But there's not a lot of them this year to go and really get people out there to go watch. So what do you have? So Little Mermaid had 1 week, and that first week it made $95 million. Then Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse came out, $120 million. Then Transformers Rise of the Beast, $61 million. $55 million for The Flash. Again, it should have done much better, but it struggled. I bet you Marvel was looking to see that movie do much better than that. And then Indiana Jones was June 30th, and that made $60 million off the bat. And then Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning, $54 million on July 7th, so July 4th weekend. And then Barbie, July 21st. Again, that versus Oppenheimer. You were just... I can't tell you when I saw any of the movies like that where you were just like, man, you are really cramming in movies. And I remember I watched multiple movies during the whole summer. It was like that. So July 21st and then Barbie, 4 straight weekends, number one at the box office. And again, the movie started off with $162 million right off the bat. And that's domestic, by the way. That's not even, I don't know if that's worldwide or not, but again, $162 million off the bat. Then $93 million the second week, $53 million the next week, $33 million the next week. So nobody was going up against Barbie. And Oppenheimer was doing its own thing. So like everybody kind of just stayed clear of Barbie because it just destroyed. And then there was Blue Beetle that came out the $25 million, tanked. So remember, we don't have any superhero movies this year, except for Deadpool and Wolverine. If we look at the full box office right now for the release schedule coming up for the summer, it's light. So this weekend alone, we have Furiosa, Mad Max Saga, and Garfield movie coming out this weekend. Not much else. I'm like, wow, that's light. It's very light. Next week, Ezra, Haikyuu, The Dumpster Battle, and A Violent Nature, and Summer Camp. There's not much there. No big blockbuster movies right there starting into the summertime period. Then we go into June 7th, and it's Bad Boys Ride or Die and The Watchers. So those movies are going to do well. That's a lot of eyes on that. Bad Boys should, I don't know if Bad Boys will make it to $100 million. I don't think so. But it should do pretty well. It should get over $50 million, I would think, for that first week. Then you go into Inside Out 2 by itself, June 14th. Nothing else. That's sad. I mean, do you really think we're going to have a whole lot of holdover for other movies that are coming out now that people are going to like hold over for that? Like, okay, so Furiosa might stick around and Bad Boys will stick around. But I'm like, really? There's not much there. Inside Out 2, that's all you got? The June 21st Bike Riders, which is a holdover from, I can't even remember how far back. I've seen promos for that since 2022. I think it was 2022 of the fall was supposed to come out, and it didn't. And I'm like, what are we doing here? What are we waiting for? Then we move along, and then there is, on June 28th, a couple of movies actually coming out with, first of all, another anime movie with Blue Lock, the movie episode Najai. Then the Kevin Costner, saga movies, the first chapter of Horizon, Quiet Place Day 1, so big horror movie. That's the big feature horror movie that will be coming out for that. And then the July 4th weekend, we will have Despicable Me 4 and Maxine as your widescreen releases for that weekend. That's it. Fly Me to the Moon is July 12th. Twisters is going to get a big push, but it's not that big of an impact film for July 19th. I don't know. Maybe it'll do better than we think, but we don't know. Deadpool and Wolverine will come out on July 26th. And then August 2nd, we have Cuckoo and Harold the Purple Crayon. Borderlands, It Ends With Us, and Trap on August 9th. Like, it's a light, really light for when it comes to summer movies this year. Alien Romulus is August 16th. So if that franchise can bring itself back up and resurrect to get people back to the theaters, I don't know. Horizon Chapter 2 is August 16th. And then Ryan's World, the movie. And then August 23rd, you got Blink Twice, The Crow, The Forge, and Slingshot. And then to round out the month of August, City of Dreams, Reagan, and They Listen. It's a light summer season. Everything that got moved, it's just like how COVID was. Even when COVID had, we were coming out of COVID, 2021, it wasn't until 22 that we had all these other movies coming in. And then all the shutting down of studios and projects because of the strike. Again, that 10-month period, that's a big deal, man. That's a pretty big deal. Actually, it was 8 months. Excuse me. It was 8 months. It was a long time to hold back. And it was already kind of preemptive plans before the strike started because they saw that it was going to go for a long time. It had to do that. No doubt about it. They had to do that, no choice. And my thing is there were movies they have here that are, that you could probably have moved up into the summertime, but they're not. So Beetlejuice is September 6th. So that's your Labor Day weekend. And then Transformers 1 is September 20th. And like, seriously, movies you got coming up at the end of the year? Light. Very light. Joker, Voila Adieu, that should be gangbusters. That should make $100 million. If there's any other movie that's going to be able to do that, that should. Another Venom movie is October 25th. And then if I look farther down, we got another Gladiator. Gladiator 2 is November 22nd. Moana 2, November 27th. And then looking into the Christmas season, Kraven the Hunter, Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim is December 13th. Homestead, Mufasa the Lion King is December 20th. I already saw trailers for that. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is December 20th. And then your Christmas season, Christmas Day, a couple of movies. But like I said, that's the year of movies right now. Wow. That is so light. And I mean, there's other movies that could come in and be brought up, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. But that's really wild. And this is what happens for 2025. Well, 2025 will get crammed with movies now. So as the strike comes up, we're going to get another 2022 or another 23 where we're going to get crammed with movies again because the strike has done this. So everything got pushed over. It's going to get crammed. Watch out. Because I can already tell you, January already is starting to get kind of crazy. Den of Thieves, Pantera. I can't wait for that. That's a great movie starter for popcorn movies right there. The second Den of Thieves, I love that. And then Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy is for Valentine's Day. Captain America Brave New World is Valentine's Day. The Smurfs movie is Valentine's Day. And Verona's Romeo and Juliet is Valentine's Day. It's a crowded Friday for that. And then you go into April 4th of next year. It's Minecraft. You got Thunderbolts on May 2nd next year. Mission Impossible 8 is next year. Another Karate Kid is next year. Ballerina is next year. 28 Years Later comes out. Another Jurassic World movie. There's a lot of stuff here. Another South Park musical is July 4th weekend. Another Superman. 3 launches of Superman for 2025. I Know What You Did Last Summer. They're going to reboot that. Another Naked Gun, they're going to reboot that. Fantastic Four comes out next year. The Bad Guys 2. And then you got Mercy. And what else you got? I mean, there's not anything else. Oh, Wicked Part 2 will be next year too. And Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is next year. And another SpongeBob movie is next year. Among other things. So next year, it gets cramped. But did they really have to do that? When you had movies that you could have just kind of pulled back and brought back. But they chose not to do that. And it sucks because now we're stuck at this point where, like, what are we doing here? Because the movie theaters are going to be light with movies. We don't have much to show in here in the first place. Like, even if I want to go look at movies right now and see what's available to go see in the theaters as we speak, like this weekend, it's light. I'm looking at it right now. And what we got coming up, like, it's just for this weekend going alone. Garfield movie, Sight, Challengers, Back to Black, If, Furiosa, Planet of the Apes, Tarot, Strangers Chapter 1, Fall Guys, Civil War. Civil War's been going out since April. It's still out there. They're bringing back Spider-Man from Far From Home. Well, that's for a pre-order. That's what it is. And that's it. I was like, really? They're kind of like out of everything else. But it's very light. A lot of movies staying around because there's nothing else to go and fill the spots. What else are you going to do? They're saying that for Furiosa and Garfield movie, they should have a solid return on investment for their studios, but highly unlikely they will save theaters for what is said to be the worst Memorial Day weekend box office in a quarter century. So Memorial Day weekend is normally the launch pad for the summer movie season, and a lot of big movies just go ahead and kick ass. So you think about Paramount, that had Top Gun Maverick, 2022, $160 million in their first 4 days domestically. Little Mermaid, $118.8 million extended launch in North America. So Furiosa should be number one movie this weekend, but the projected money is supposed to be making is the low $40 million range, and Garfield is expected to go for $30 to $35 million for the 4-day weekend. And the last time a number one movie on Memorial Day weekend opened in the $40 million range was Tomorrowland. And it earned $42.5 million over 4 days. And that's it. And that was also the movie where it flopped to $190 million and grossed $209 million worldwide. And at the time, the overall gross for weekend box office of $194 million was considered a down year for the main box office. But it could be much worse had it not been for the fact that all the other films in the top five grossed more than $25 million that weekend. Because of that weekend in 2015, Poltergeist was number 5. Then you had Fury Road that held over, Pitch Perfect 2, and Avengers Age of Ultron. Like, look at the crammed amount of movies you had on Memorial Day weekend that you were able to watch in 2015. So what you have also is the third weekend of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and there's not much left to it. You know? So right now, with this is what the strike crosses. The strike induced this momentum right here that they're going to be stuck right now, or they're going to be struggling for the rest of the year. They're currently 20% behind the pace set from last year, and said to be the lowest monthly domestic gross recorded in May outside the pandemic since 2006. And so, like I said, one thing that was going to be done as well, Deadpool and Wolverine was pushed from the first weekend of May to July 26th because of production delays because of the strike. They pushed it back a couple of months. And theaters were left missing the boost in moviegoer turnout that the franchise would have brought in. Yeah, if Deadpool and Wolverine would have come out May 5th, yeah, it would have kicked ass. They had nothing else for it. But the strike really put a damper on things. So now, Furiosa. Well, actually, here's more of the information about what happened with the movies that they had. So, they expect the Furiosa will probably perform a little bit less than Mad Max Fury Road. Fury Road was produced on a $150 million budget, was released the weekend before Memorial Day, and it opened to $45 million in North America before inflation. And then if you include the 4-day weekend, $50.7 million. And it grossed $153 million domestic, $379 million worldwide. So it made its money. So far, the Cannes premiere was very positive. 86% Rotten Tomato score as we have it right now. I mean, people are going to go to watch it. Like that kind of movie really will do well. I know that. And then for the kids, you're going to have Garfield and If to work off of. I'm surprised I'm actually going to be watching Garfield, but they had a show time of 11 o'clock at night on Saturday. I was like, well, you know, I'll give it a shot. I don't know if I'll really be too much into it, but it's something to watch anyway. But in January, there were a lot of publications that were already saying that the box office was going to struggle this year anyway. And it really is. And there you go. But you got to think about what are the movies this year that are really going to get some people out to go and watch movies. I think Deadpool and Wolverine is going to do that. And I think that Joker is going to do that. I think Wick is going to do that. And I think that's what's really going to stand out. Looks like more than anything else. And so that story was from The Wrap, but then also Hollywood Reporter talks about that the $100 million box office openers, we're not seeing any. And that's another issue right now. So studio and theater chain executives already knew this year was going to be a challenge amid major tentpole delays, but Mayer's already a historic flop. Even the Fall Guy is fleeing for home early. I mean, it's unfortunate Fall Guy is not going to do well. I did like the movie. I did like it. I know people that not everybody was all into it, but I did enjoy the movie for being an old school guy, you know, being a fan of watching the Fall Guy as a TV show in the 80s. But when you look at the success they had last year and compared to now, like you'd be surprised how badly it could go that route, but it is. So the Fall Guy opened low end of expectations. And so the action comedy did not expect, never got $100 million for its launch. It got $27.7 million. Currently has grossed $65.8 million against a net budget of $130 million. Oh boy. Oh, it tanked. That's bad. I did not think it was going to go that bad. The film's disappointing results prompted Universal to make the title available to rent in the home via premium video on demand right away, May 21st. So don't worry about the theaters anymore. Put it on there to stream. They're giving up. So that's all they can do. So the Universal waited, maybe 31 days, 32 days, and then that's it. But if they're not going to make $50 million in the first weekend or whatever, or $50 million in general for a movie, they're just going to get out of there because they don't feel like they can do much anywhere else. Now, usually Marvel Studios has been really big about that, but remember, they're also going through an overhaul of what they're doing right now as well. Because usually they start the summer by having a superhero pick the first weekend of May. Last year, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. But there was a lot of production and post-production delays stemming from the labor strikes and even the pandemic. Captain America Brave New World, I'm fumbling over, was scheduled to open the first weekend of May. And other movies out of summer included The Next Mission Impossible and the Spider-Verse installments. So we were supposed to have those three movies right there over the summer, which would have really carried things up. But the strike took it all away. So the big guessing game in Hollywood right now is which of the three big summer franchise installments might be able to reverse the curse. Inside Out 2, Despicable Me 4, and Deadpool and Wolverine. Those are the three movies that are expected to have a chance to break $100 million in the summer. A chance. But no guarantee. Some of them are going to be just short of that. And there's been top studio executives talking about it and saying that we knew it was going to be bad. We didn't know it was going to be this bad. Quote, there was no alarm bell going off this year telling people the summer box office had started. And there hasn't been. And then people were talking about, well, don't worry about the short-term success. Worry about the long-term playability. And that's what they're talking about right here. Paul DeGarabedian, who's a ComScore chief box office analyst, that's what he's talking about right now. Quote, in today's modern theatrical marketplace, the emphasis should shift from the short-term gain to the long-term playability, since this is now a game of yards instead of inches. And the analysis of what constitutes a hit or flop must be reevaluated. So you can't assume that it's going to be a flop if the movie doesn't do well in the theaters when you can make that money back on the streaming after the fact. And you know what also has to be considered too? I mean, think about the fact that Bad Boys Ride or Die is coming out this summer. You know, one of the movies that's coming back now that if Netflix had the balls, they could have put it out over the summer. They got Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. It's coming out July 3rd on Netflix only. But Netflix could have had the balls and put it out for exhibition at least for a couple of weeks. I don't think it would have hurt anybody to see. I want to see if actually they can back it up. Is the movie just not going to be that good? And people are just going to be into it? Like, I mean, you could have put it out there. But as obviously we already see that Eddie Murphy, like, they're not putting any movies of his out there in theaters. That's why Coming to America went right to Amazon Prime. And justifiably so, by the way. What about that Christmas movie that he did? Same thing. It was on Amazon Prime. You're not going to do it. I forgot to mention Maxine's coming out on July 5th. That'll be an interesting movie. I'm going to go see that. Mia Goth. That looks like it should be something good. And there's some other movies that are also on streaming as well that could have had a chance that could be out here. Mark Wahlberg and Halle Berry are going to be in a movie called The Union that's on Netflix, August 16th. And then Matt Damon will have a movie called The Instigators on August 9th on Apple TV+. But again, they don't want to put them out in theaters. They don't want to give it a chance. You're just going to oh, no, screw it. We'll just let it go. All right. And I don't like it, but I mean, that's what they want to do. It's like also the part of the damper that takes away from the box office this year anyway. Well, look, I get it. People don't want to think they want to go to the movies at all. They don't think it's worth going. They don't think it's worth the time. I don't know. I still think it is. I enjoy the movie experience. You know, they do a lot of things now that kind of help boost it up. I mean, you want to get swag, the popcorn buckets, the soda buckets are always kind of customized for the movies if you want that. Or if you get extra points, you can actually go ahead and get those and pick them up yourself without having to go ahead and buy anything, things like that. But, it's still, to me, with the right theater, you can go out and enjoy a good night out. I mean, Just people don't want to try. And it's just the same that people don't want to try it at all and just give it a chance. But okay. It's what they want. It sucks anyway. So speaking of movies from Netflix, they have a new data dump that came out, and Deadline reported on it. And they talked about the most watched titles in Netflix's lineup of programming that they have, of the content they have on the streamer. And they mentioned that animated films make up a lot of the most watched in their collection. So Netflix set out a What We Watched Netflix engagement report. And they gave a listing of the top 100 most viewed titles in the period of review from July to December 2023. 33 of those titles were animated. And it had a total of over 1 billion views total on the service. Of the top 100, 5 were produced by Netflix. That includes the Adam Sandler movie Leo, which was number 3 overall. Then you had The Monkey King at number 30, Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget at 41, Nimona at 47, The Sea Beast at 84, and Back to the Outback at 93. And when it came to animated movies, they talked about the fact that The Boss Baby, Paw Patrol the movie, Miraculous, Ladybug and Cat Noir, the movie, Dr. Seuss's The Grinch, the Super Mario Brothers movie, Sing, Hotel Transylvania, Trolls, Sing 2, Shrek, Crude the New Age, Puss in Boots' Last Wish, Woody Woodpecker, Shrek 2, Minions Rise of Gru, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Despicable Me 2, Secret Life of Pets, Minions and More Volume 2, Bad Guys Very Bad Holiday, Minions, Madagascar, Crudes, B-Movie, Captain Underpants, the first epic movie, and Hotel Transylvania make up the most notable animated titles in the Netflix's library. So, of those watching on Netflix, it's not their movies that are doing so well. It's the cartoon stuff. It's the kid stuff. So they're not really performing well when it comes to all their other movies that they put out there. Again, I'm not surprised by that. Now, one of the other stories that really caught a lot of traction when I was looking at things right now was the story about Live Nation. That happened today, as a matter of fact, where the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, says now that, quote, we allege that Live Nation controls the live entertainment industry in the U.S. because it is breaking the law. So the antitrust lawsuit that we've been hearing about for a long time when it comes to Ticketmaster and Live Nation and the control of how much money they can go ahead and charge on service fees and surcharges on ticket goers, well, now they're going to go after them. So here you go. Lawsuit filed in Manhattan Federal Court claims Live Nation has abused its huge market power to stifle competition, including the use of exclusive ticketing contracts that lock venues into using Ticketmaster for all events. And as with Live Nation, Merrick Garland said the government will present evidence taken from emails between Live Nation Chief Executive Michael Rapino and Oak View Group Chief Tim Leaquey, as well as communications between Rapino and the head of powerful equity firm Silver Lake Capital. So he goes on to say that Garland says that we allege that Live Nation does not maintain its dominance in the live industry by staying ahead of its competition on the merits. It does so by unlawfully eliminating its competition. We allege that Live Nation controls the live entertainment industry because it is breaking the law. And to address the violations, the Department of Justice is arguing that Live Nation must divest ownership of Ticketmaster, effectively underdoing a controversial 2010 merger approved by federal regulators, despite fears it would give the company too much power over live music. Now, we already know there's a lot of issues when it came to the Taylor Swift Eras Tour, where there was criticism about the tickets because widespread service delays and website crashes caused issues for those trying to go and buy tickets to see Taylor Swift. The DOJ has already launched an investigation into Live Nation back in 2022 prior to Taylor Swift's ticket debacle. But the botched pre-sale spark congressional hearings, civil antitrust lawsuits, and calls to break up the company. So, according to a 120-page complaint by the government, Live Nation Ticketmaster has unlawfully maintained monopolies in several concert promotions and primarily ticketing markets and engaged in other exclusionary conduct affecting live concert venues, including arenas and amphitheaters. So they're talking about a flywheel model that Live Nation has, a self-reinforcing business model that captures fees and revenue from concert fans and sponsorship, and uses the revenue to lock up artists into exclusive promotion deals, and then uses this powerful cache of live content to sign venues into long-term exclusive ticketing deals, thereby starting the cycle all over again. Now, Live Nation's rejected the accusations. They said that the claims about monopolies were designed to rile up fans against Live Nation and Ticketmaster. And the company president has already said the company's practices were fully defensible and a settlement with the DOJ was still possible. Live Nation called the Justice Department's allegations baseless. They said, quote, "The DOJ's lawsuit won't solve the issues fans care about relating to ticket prices, service fees, and access to in-demand shows," it said. Calling Ticketmaster a monopoly may be a PR win for the DOJ in the short term, but it will lose in court because it ignores the basic economics of live entertainment, such as the fact that the bulk of service fees go to venues and that a competition has steadily eroded Ticketmaster's market share and profit margin. I'm glad I don't go to concerts. Never had an interest in them. But, I mean, there are people that really do get themselves into the fact that, you know, if it's an artist that's hot and they're doing well and they'll perform, people will go and go see them. What's surprising to me is that a lot of times I see on TikTok videos how often an artist is still out there performing and like they can't do it anymore. Like you hear like the voices like are not doing well, and it's like, why are they still out there for? And it's true. It's true, but if the money's still there and these artists can't make the kind of money that they can off of royalties like they used to, which is partly radio's fault, by the way. Like, radio doesn't help either in terms of the Live Nation issue because, you know, that was a part where Live Nation was part with Clear Channel back in the day. And then that had to get split off because of the control and a monopoly that they had. But radio has fallen apart and not allowed anything to help out in that process. Like give ticket codes or help people to go and really get involved in the process because Live Nation doesn't need to promote themselves to anywhere but, you know, maybe like social media and sometimes the television or maybe a little bit of the radio, but very rarely. Like Live Nation barely buys time for radio stations. And they used to be like the bane of existence for radio, that they should be able to go and get money off of that, but they don't anymore. It's all gone. They don't have anything left. They're struggling big time. Now, one other thing I want to bring up here is that Google just recently did a deal now where their Gemini feature is now made available for public. It's no longer beta. So as part of the Google One subscription that I have, it includes Gemini. But the thing is, it's like a double charge to my Google One service for storage that I use it for. But then the Gemini is going to be put up, so it'll be $19.99 a month, as opposed to $9.99 a month that I pay for 2 terabytes of Google One to be able to put stuff in the cloud. So the idea is this, that with AI and what Google Gemini can do, it's going to kill what's left of journalism. Somebody even says it'll be catastrophic to our traffic. Well, what do you expect? You think you're going to go and have, you know, the newspapers, the magazines that are all struggling and throwing people away, by the way. All right. You want to go and charge Google and Meta to go ahead, and you're upset with them that they put your stories on their search results or their news feeds. So what is going to happen? If Google can go ahead and just get Gemini to go in and write out the stories for them, like if AI becomes something much more, what's going to happen? So CNN reports about this. And they say it sounds a lot like the death knell for any remaining traffic to media websites. So the new feature being powered by Google's Gemini AI model is going to summarize answers to search queries as a top result for many queries, calling the feature AI overviews. Though links will be included as part of the answers, they'll appear below the AI-generated summary answer. So, like, it will obviously reduce the number of users who usually click through to read primary sources like newspapers and magazines. So this has the potential to be an extinction-level event akin to when an asteroid slammed into Mexico 66 million years ago, ending the reign of journalism dinosaurs. That's just a joke that this story in Futurism wrote about. So, News Media Alliance chief executive Daniel Coffey told CNN, quote, "This would be catastrophic to our traffic as marketed by Google to further satisfy user inquiries, leaving even less incentive to click through so they can monetize our content." Right. So, what do you expect Google to do? Also Meta, they're also doing their own AI service. What do you want them to do? You complain that you're not making any money off the traffic that Google and Meta provide you. You want them to pay you for lost advertising revenue because you think you're entitled to do that. Australia tried to do it, and Meta said, "No, we're out." Google's going to have to deal with that, and Canada said, "No, I'm out." They're going to deal with it because now they're not even going to worry about you because Google and Meta, they have the technology to say, you know what, fuck you. You're going to try to charge us for publishing, for putting your stories out there? We don't need your stories anymore. We don't need people to be upset with us clicking the stories. They're going to have a whole bunch of pop-ups and ads and stuff, and people can't even watch it. Or more than likely, they're going to have a paywall. Google's just going to make it for free. They'll be able to gather the data and put the stories out for us. And we'll actually get the information without the commentary. Ooh. News and information without opinion editorial. The bane of existence for all these newspapers and publishers because they want to be able to have their own 2 cents to put into every story they put out there. Oh, that's so bad for them. Oh, I feel so sorry for them. I got the smallest violin right now to play for you. So Coffey told CNN that, quote, "The little traffic we get today will be further diminished. And with a dominant search engine that's cementing its market power, we once again have to adhere to their terms. This time with a product that directly competes with our content, using our content to fuel it. It's a perverse twist on innovation." Well, hey. They'll probably figure out a way to go ahead and get information. And then remember, they don't need the people to write it. The AI will do it. They'll figure it out because Gemini is already a pretty good program. Now, Google claims the people clicking the links that appear after an AI overview summary, plus spreading the wealth by clicking a wider variety of websites. Preliminary studies of Google's use on AI in a search engine has the potential to reduce website traffic by 25%, according to Associated Press. That could be billions of revenue lost. Oh, really? The billions of revenue we weren't even getting? Or you mean the billions of revenue we want to go ahead and ask for from Google and Meta, right? The relationship between Google and publishers has been pretty symbiotic, but enter AI and what has essentially happened in the big tech companies, they've taken the creative content and used it to train their AI models. We're now seeing that it's being used for their own commercial purposes to what is effectively a transfer of wealth from small independent businesses to big tech. No. Come on. Small independent businesses. You don't care about local news. You're abandoning local news, you big fat newspapers and publishers and magazines. You're abandoning your writers. You don't even have the staff to go ahead and take care of these things. And how many of you are using AI to write your stories as well? Now, this is according to the Chief Innovation Officer for Content Creator Consultancy, Raptive. Mark McCollum actually said that last quote. But hey, if they do a good job, what do you want? Listen, I used Google Gemini to write a story tonight about the summer movie box office with the current information. Let me tell you, did a damn good job. Let me read it for you. Look at how well this did. So my story title, again, is Summer Movie Season Set the Struggle from Strike-induced Shuffle. I'm going to read this out to you. Look at how well this thing did for Gemini. This is AI. I'm going to preface this right now. This was AI written. All I did was say, write a news story on summer movie season, set the struggle from strike-induced shuffle. And it turned out with the 2024 summer movie season, typically a blockbuster-filled bonanza, is bracing for a potential downturn, as the ongoing strikes by the Writers Guild of America and Screen Actors Guild send ripples to the entertainment industry. The strikes, primarily centered around fair compensation and concerns over the use of artificial intelligence in content creation, have caused significant delays and disruptions in production schedules, leading to a scarcity of new releases for the summer season. Industry analysts predicted a noticeable dip in box office numbers compared to previous years. The absence of highly anticipated sequels and franchise films, which usually dominate the summer movie lineup, is expected to be a major factor in the anticipated decline. Moviegoers may find themselves with fewer options to choose from, potentially leading them to seek entertainment elsewhere. Listen, I couldn't write that better. But I read through it, and it's really taking care of it. Like it was, I mean, I tried the ChatGPT stuff. It can't crank up stuff like this. And remember, Google Gemini, with the current information that Google already has in its search results, it's so accurate. It's so current. I mean, it's like how Translate for Google works. It's so damn good. So they got it. And it's objective. Listen, even the last paragraph here. In the meantime, moviegoers will have to adapt to a less predictable and potentially less exciting summer movie season. However, with a bit of creativity and a willingness to explore new options, they might still find some cinematic gems to enjoy amidst the strike-induced shuffle. Look at that. And even before that, it says that, industry experts remain optimistic about the future. They believe once the strikes are resolved, the production resumes, the industry will bounce back with a new focus on fair compensation and collaboration between all stakeholders. Hey, look at that. Kumbaya. Isn't that incredible? But that's a pretty good job what they did right there. I'm quite impressed. So that's in the write-up. You can read it right now into the show description because that's where it is. So rock on, man. Very well done. I'm impressed by it. And that's going to put a stop on the program tonight. We're going to keep it a little bit short. So you have time to go and get your tickets, go to the movies, maybe help out the movie theaters out there, make a little bit extra money, something like that. I don't know. But yeah, there's not much more to say about it. Got a long Memorial Day weekend. A lot of good stuff coming up for that. Again, quick reminder, the Supporters Club is now available. And I hope you'll consider putting down $2 a month to the Broadcasters Podcast's Supporters Club. You can look for the episode on Diddy, which is your way to go into the Broadcasters Podcast Supporters Club page. Drop in $2 a month as a donation if you like, or you can just go right in and, listen to the couple extra episodes that I put out every month that you can listen to right now. And so I hope you'll consider that and think about it, and we'll take it from there. So I appreciate all of you for tuning into the program and checking things out. More than anything, I really appreciate all your support here on the program as we move along and do this as we always do. So if things are good next week, I'll tell you how the movies went. But anyways, enjoy the Memorial Day weekend. Have a great time out there. Come back next week for the Broadcasters Podcast. And remember that content is king, and the control of your content is in your hands.